Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Matthew chapter 24, verses 37 through 39. As the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, It's Gonna Rain.
It's gonna rain, it's gonna rain. You better get ready and bear this in mind. Yahshua Noah showed him the rainbow signs. Said it won't be water, but fire next time. It's gonna rain, it's gonna rain. You better get ready and bear this in mind. Yahshua Noah showed him the rainbow signs. Said it won't be water, but fire next time.
Way back in the Bible days, Noah told the people it's gonna rain. But when he told them, they paid him no mind. And when it happened, they were left behind. Oh,
It's gonna rain, it's gonna rain. You better get ready and bear this in mind. Yahshua Noah showed him the rainbow signs. Said it won't be water, but fire next time.
Noah called the animals two by two, male and female, they knew just what to do. The windows of heaven open just right, 'cause it's gonna rain for 40 days and nights. So
It's gonna rain,
believe it.
it's gonna rain. You better get ready and bear this in mind. Yahshua Noah showed him the rainbow signs. Said it won't be water, but fire next time.
They tell me when the water began to pour, they knocked on the window and they knocked on the door. Now they didn't know exactly what to do. Now you don't want this to happen to you, I tell you.
It's gonna rain,
Believe it.
it's gonna rain. You better get ready and bear this in mind. Yahshua Noah showed him the rainbow signs. Said it won't be water, but fire next time.
Noah warned the people in plenty of time, but they were too sinful and blind. Then when the rain came, they tried to pray, but their prayers were given in vain. Oh,
It's gonna rain,
believe it.
it's gonna rain. You better get ready and bear this in mind. Yahshua Noah showed him the rainbow signs. Said it won't be water, but fire next time.
Noah said, I'm sorry, my friend. God's got the key and you can't get in. If something don't happen to the hearts of men, the same old thing is gonna happen again. Oh,
It's gonna rain,
believe it.
it's gonna rain. You better get ready and bear this in mind. Yahshua Noah showed him the rainbow signs. Said it won't be water, but fire next time. It's gonna rain, it's gonna rain. You better get ready and bear this in mind. Yahshua Noah showed him the rainbow signs. Said it won't be water, but fire next time. Said it won't be water, but fire next time. Said it won't be water, but fire next time. Said it won't be water, but fire next time.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in this body of Yahshua. A wise street prophet once said, it was me against the world. When we enter into the family of Israel with our heart and soul, we begin to understand that it must be we against the world. Eventually, it becomes apparent to us that the world notices that we are attempting to escape it. So in an act of desperation, the world tries even harder to keep us near. The world will attempt to trap us with its dainties of whatever sort that it may attract us back into its arms. Those familiar spirits of past falls will definitely call, but it is up to us to decide whether or not we are going to answer. We're going to begin today's sermon in Matthew chapter 18. Matthew chapter 18, and we're going to start at verse 15. Today's sermon is entitled, Warring Against the World. If we remember what is written in the book, when the adversary, the devil, is cast out and understands that his time has been shortened, he wars against the children that were brought forth by the woman, meaning the children of Israel. His specific war is against the children of Israel. And he's going to use everything that he has in his arsenal, which means other children of Israel. See, it says that it didn't just say that he just warred against the children of Israel. It says those which keep the commandments. Well, see, that draws a line in between
who's Israel in the flesh and who's Israel in the spirit. So he won't be warring with all of Israel. This is where it's going to get interesting. Because people who look like you will be saying, you know, I don't understand what the problem is. Why y'all having an issue? Because he won't war against them. Because they don't keep any commandments. He has no reason to war against them. But the more we attempt to keep these commandments, the more we get the anger of the adversary. So then he pushes us with this anger of his controlled world to try to convince us that, you know, if you just back up and go back to where you were, life will be easier for you. Matthew chapter 18, and let's start that at verse 15.
Moreover, if your brother shall trespass against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he shall hear you, you have gained your brother. But if he will not hear you, then take with you one or two more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it on to the church.
So then there's a process that we go about for Yahweh to say, or to put, you know, this whole concept and push that forward through Yahshua, that the world is going to be adversarial to you. So he has to give us a way to be able to determine whether someone is indoctrinated with the thoughts of the world or whether they're being overcome with the spirit of Israel. So we have an equation that we have to use whenever we're going to deal in situations. Moreover, if your brother shall trespass against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he shall hear you, you have gained your brother. But if he will not hear you, then take with you 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. So if your brother didn't deal with the private conversation, then there has to keep being more people added into this conversation. Go ahead.
But you know what people will do is, once more people get added, why you had to tell them? Well, I couldn't reach you.
Right.
The rest of these people couldn't reach you. So we had to keep increasing the numbers so that at the end it will be shown that I did my best to make my attempt.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's about you covering yourself when judgment is handed down or whatever ends up coming to play. You have to prove to your father that you have done your part in that situation. You can't do somebody else's part. You can't play somebody else's role for them. You can't answer anything for them. All that you have control of is your part. So if your brother, look at the equation, verse 15, moreover, if your brother shall trespass against you, then that means it's your responsibility to go to your brother. If you believe that trespass has been made against you, then it's your responsibility. It's not the other person's responsibility to try to figure out what they may have done and then come to you. That's not what the equation says. So if you feel like you have been wronged, you are the one that must initiate the conversation. Go ahead.
You know, I don't mean to keep going, but since we're here, you know, we're reading and it says, brother.
Tell the truth, shame the devil. Don't apologize now.
Hey, this could be your sister. This could be your husband. This could be your wife. This could be your child. So let's not just stick with your brother.
But look at the situation. It says, you know, if your brother shall trespass against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. All right, that didn't work. Somebody goes and then goes and starts talking to other people. Now folks saying you violating our trust. You violating our trust. This was just supposed to be between me and you. How the hell long it gonna be between me and you? Hell, it ain't worked out between me and you. So we got to get somebody else in this mix. Because between me and you, we can't figure it out.
Yep.
So now we got 2 or more people. So let's see if that work out. Keep going.
But if you neglect to hear the church, let him be unto you as an heathen man and a publican.
So after you can't get them with the 2 or 3, now you bring it unto the church. Now we talking about a full open forum with the discussions, with all the issues laid on the table. If he can't hear the church, or she, it says then let them be like a heathen man and a publican. That don't mean they got kicked out of church. That means you don't deal with them no more. You got right to not deal with them. Because you follow the equation. Now, if they keep doing this to other people, then now you got more and more situations where, all right, how many people going to look at you like a heathen and a publican before you get showed the door? Go ahead.
Verily I say unto you, whatsoever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever you shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Again I say unto you, that if 2 of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them.
And you know what's interesting is people swear that those 2 or 3 that they get to operate in foulness is in his name. Go ahead.
Then came Cephas to him and said, Adonai, how often shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Yahshua says unto him, I say not unto you until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king, which would take account of his servants.
Right. Now, when we look at this whole situation of forgiveness, we have sometimes 2 tables. We have the table of forgiveness when it comes down to one group of people, and we have the table of forgiveness when it comes to a different group of people, depending on what group they fall in. See, we got that friend group, we got that family group, and then we got that loved one group. See, now certain people, depending on which group they fall in, get to do a whole lot more against an individual. Now, if they in this group, they do one thing, they cut off, done deal. You know, as far as I'm concerned, fire and brimstone, let them burn. Let them be clothed with gas and lit a fire. Some other people, because they in the other group, now they have a continual source of trespassing against an individual, but it's looked at differently. Go ahead.
And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. Wherefore as much as he had not to pay, his master commanded him to be sold, and his wife and children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Adonai, have patience with me, and I'll pay you all. Then the master of that servant was moved with compassion, and loosed him, and forgave him the debt.
The master of that servant was moved with compassion, not that he had to. He was moved with compassion and said, okay, I forgive you the debt. Go ahead.
But the same servant went out.
The very same one who was forgiven. This is the thing that we forget when we ask for some kind of forgiveness. We ask for something, but when it's our turn, we don't offer that same thing that we previously asked for. We ask for all this forgiveness. We ask for this, we ask for that. Then when we are in control, and this is what Yahweh does, this is how he checks to see how we operate with power. See, when your brother sin against you, then now you are in the driver's seat as far as forgiveness goes. But then when you sin against your brother, now your brother is in the driver's seat as far as forgiveness is concerned. Now the question is, when you're not driving, it's going to then come to Yahweh. How did you drive? Now it won't be the same brother. It won't be the same sister. So let's go ahead and erase that. See, he's going to look at how you dealt with one situation, mirror that into another one. It won't be the same individuals. We have to know that your Elohim is not that simple. Go ahead.
But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence. And he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me that you oweth. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet and besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I'll pay you all.
Now, that same compassion that was showed him for a much larger debt does not seem to be there present with him when he's dealing with a fellow servant. Go ahead.
And he would not, but went and cast him into prison till he should pay the debt. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry, and came and told unto their master all that was done. Then his master, after that he had called him, and said unto him, O you wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt, because you desired me? Should you not also have had compassion on your fellow servant, even as I had pity on you?
Right.
And
Shouldn't you have had that same type of forgiveness? Part of what you owed to me, you couldn't pay because the other individual hadn't paid you. But when I forgave you, part of that debt automatically belonged to them. How is it you forgot that? Go ahead.
And his master was angry, and delivered him to the tormentors, till he should pay all that was due unto him. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, if you from your hearts forgive not everyone his brother their trespasses.
Right, and we have to consider those things when we ask our Father. Because as we are warring with the world is going to throw some things at us. And Yahweh is a true Father. He does not stop everything coming toward you. Because some of those things he want to see. All right, let me see how you're going to deal with this. All right, well, let me see how you're going to deal with that. How does he know that you are growing as a son or a daughter if he shields you from everything? Let's go to Luke chapter 16. Luke chapter 16, and we're going to read verses 1 through 12.
Verse 1. And he said also unto his disciples, There was a certain rich man which had a steward, and the same was accused unto him that he had wasted his goods. And he called him and said unto him, How is it that I hear this of you? Give an account of your stewardship, for you may be no longer steward. Then the steward said within himself, What shall I do? For my master takes away from me the stewardship. I cannot dig. To beg, I am ashamed. I am resolved what to do, that when I am put out of the stewardship, they may receive me into their houses. So he called every one of his master's debtors unto him, and said unto the first, How much owe you unto my master? And he said, 100 measures of oil. And he said unto him, Take your bill, and sit down quickly, and write 50. Then said he to another, And how much oweth you? And he said, 100 measures of wheat. And he said unto him, Take your bill, and write 80. And the master commended the unjust steward, because he had done wisely. For the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. And I say unto you, Make to yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness, that when you fail, they may receive you into everlasting habitations.
Now, we must make sure that we draw that line when we're making friends of the mammon of unrighteousness, that we are not doing what they do. What is happening here is this servant is providing an opportunity. Okay, if my master drops me from being a steward, I have been decent unto these people who are under me, that they will receive me. But if I have been completely hard against all of these people, I'm going to have a serious problem when I am no longer steward. Because they're going to all come against me. Because they're going to remember how harsh I was to them. They're going to remember how brash I was to them. They're going to remember all of those things. And now, you don't have any power anymore. Go ahead.
He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. If therefore you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? And if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's, who shall give you that which is your own?
Okay, so if that's the case, then that means in every situation, we are auditioning for another one. Half the time, we're so happy about where we are, especially if we move up a level. We're excited, not understanding that you're just auditioning for another job. So, depending on how you deal with your newfound happiness, you may be in that spot for a long time, and you think, hey, I done made it. You were supposed to be 3 spots up from there. But because of how you handled it, you never increased. Because you thought the interview was actually the job. Go ahead.
That was it.
That was it. Let's go to Luke chapter 19. Luke chapter 19, and let's start at verse 20.
And another came, saying, Adonai, behold, here is your pound, which I have kept laid up in a napkin. For I feared you, because you are an austere man. You taketh up that you laid not down, and reapeth that you did not sow. And he says unto him, out of your own mouth will I judge you, you wicked servant. You knew it that I was an austere man, taking up that I laid not down, and reaping that I did not sow. Wherefore then giveth not you my money unto the bank, that at my coming I might have required my own with interest? And he said unto them that stood by, take from him the pound, and give it to him that has 10 pounds.
Listen, and he said unto them that stood by, take from him the pound, and give to him that has 10 pounds. Go ahead.
And they said unto him, Adonai, he has 10 pounds.
Well, wait a minute. This seems unfair, Yahweh. I mean, he already got 10. Why you going to give him another one? Go ahead.
For I say unto you, that unto everyone which has shall be given, and from him that has not, even that he has, shall be taken away from him.
Right, because he was not fruitful with that which was given unto him. It says, if you have not been faithful for with that is another man's, how shall Yahweh give you something that would be your own? So then, as he gives you something, he watches and see what you do with it. That's not just financial things. Whether he give you a job, whether he give you a position, whether he give you a spouse, he looks and sees, all right, let me see how you're going to deal with it. Go ahead.
But those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me.
All right, let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 25. Oftentimes you go through that and you read the one who had this one talent or this 1 pound, and how they did not become prosperous for their Adonai at all. So you assume that, okay, they must not have been working. No, they wasn't working in anything that had anything to do with the Adonai. They might have done a whole lot of physical work for themselves. They might have been at work all the time. They might have been so focused on doing their own work. And they were very, very, profitable for their own house. They were just not profitable for his. So you take that and you listen and you only look at it normally on one side. So you just automatically assume that this person wasn't doing anything. No, they just wasn't doing anything for Yahweh. And it's interesting how people like to mix their personal work and think that that's part of the kingdom. What you did at UPS ain't got a damn thing to do with Yahweh. I hope you did. I hope you the best packager that's packages. But ain't got a damn thing to do with Yahweh. And you can't count your 20 years of service of packaging packages and talk about, how well you have done with men. How well you have done this. That congratulations. But you still in preschool when you come over here. So you take that 20 years of packaging packages, and maybe you can use what you learned there to start in preschool. But don't think them 20 years out in the world just transfer unto Yahweh. That ain't how it works. Because you have to learn how to deal with his stuff differently. You will take the knowledge of what you have in the world, and you will allow him to rearrange it so that that can be profitable unto you in his kingdom. But it won't be just automatically the same way it was out in the world. Go ahead. 1 Samuel chapter 25 and start that at verse 9.
And when David's young men came, they spake to Nabal according to all those words in the name of David, and ceased. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, Who is David? And who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master.
So this is how he saw this situation, that David was just someone who broke away from his master. This is how he saw it in his eyes. And it never does occur to us that the way we see something is not the same way that Yahweh sees it. See, the arrogancy in us tells us if we see it this way, so does Yahweh. So this is the way he sees that situation. Go ahead.
Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shearers and give it on to men whom I know not whence they be?
And because that was the way he saw it, this was then his thought process after he perceived how this situation is playing out. Go ahead.
So David's young men turned their way and went again and came and told him all those things. And David said unto his men, Gird you on every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword. And David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 abode by the stuff. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, Behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. But the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt, neither missed we anything, as long as we were conversant with them.
Now it says, and he railed on them. David sent men, and he railed on them. The first thing he should have thought about was, hey, these men work for somebody. All right? Now, you may not see that guy right now, but they finna go and tell that guy those words that you just said. Now, are you ready for the smoke that comes with that? Well, there's fire, there's smoke. There's smoke that's going to come with this. Go ahead.
When we were in the fields, they were a wall unto us both by night and day, all the while we were with them keeping the sheep. Now therefore know and consider what you will do, for evil is determined against our master and against all his household. For he's such a son of Belial that a man cannot speak to him.
Wait a minute. He is such a man of Belial. This means there's evil in his heart. He is such an evil man that a man can't even speak to him. It says, man, they came to speak to us and he railed on them. There was a way to say no without saying it that way. See, sometimes it's not exactly what you say or what you do, but how you did it. There was a way to say, look, I'm not quite sure about, your position. I've been, working out here. I don't think it's plausible for me to give, my substance to someone that I'm not quite sure of, what their focus and what their motive is. There was a way for that to have been said. Shall I give my substance to somebody who I know not what they be? Everybody around there knew, okay, he gonna die. He is going to die. Everybody knew except him. Everybody knew, oh, David's a killer. Oh my God, he's going to die. Everybody in the circle know he gonna die except him. He doesn't have a clue. This is what arrogance do for you. You don't have a clue. Everybody in the circle saying, oh my God, that's a bad idea. Hey, bruh, that's a bad idea. Bruh, that's a bad idea. Bruh, I wouldn't do that if I was you. But then here's the problem. He's such a man of Belial, they can't tell him either. Because he's going to rail on them. If they are servants under his house, and he just railed on King David's men, the king to be, what do you think he gonna do if they talk? So they thinking this, but they can't tell him. They know that destruction is on the way, but they can't tell him. Because all they gonna do is get destroyed when they tell him. Go ahead.
Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine and 5 sheep ready dressed.
So what happened? They couldn't tell him, so they went and told his wife. The wife was approachable to talk to, but the head of the house wasn't. The head of the house couldn't be talked to. So the servant said, look here, if we're going to preserve this house, it's on you, ma'am. It's on you. Because I'm telling you, the way he spoke to them, they on their way. And when you're in situations, you can tell. I was in a music studio once and heard a phone call. And it was between these 2 little rap groups. One of them was called Ghetto Mafia. Some of y'all might remember them. When I heard the phone call, I said, okay, Scottsdale about to be over here in a minute. So I went and got my piece. But my little piece wasn't going to do nothing. When Scottsdale showed up, they were circled all the way around that house with every kind of weapon you can think of. Now, hindsight, is 2020. I should have got the hell on. Because if one of them people would have fired out every last one of us dying, they had about 30 guns outside. And I ain't talking about the kind that go pow pow. But how did I know they were coming? Because I heard the conversation. And I knew when those words were said against those kind of people, oh, war is on the way. 25, 30 minutes later, the entire studio was surrounded. All because of those words. This servant heard those words and knew war is coming. You don't understand who you talking to. Go ahead.
And 5 measures of parched corn and 100 clusters of raisins and 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on asses. And she said unto her servants, go on before me. Behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal. And it was so, as she rode on the ass, that she came down by the covert of the hill, and, behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them. Now David had said, surely in vain have I kept all that this fellow has in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that pertained unto him. And he has requited me evil for good. So and more also do Elohim unto the enemies of David, if I leave at all pertain to him by the morning light any that piss against the wall.
That's all the males. Every male in the house. So then that included the man who was going to talk to the wife. So the man was going to talk to the wife for his own life. Look, I'm telling you, when he come to kill him, he not trying to figure out who with him, who agreed with him, who didn't agree with him. No. He killing everybody. So I'm telling you this. If you like where your house stand, you're going to have to make a move for your husband because your husband is just not able. You're going to have to preserve this house. He does not have the ability to preserve this house. You're going to have to do it. Go ahead.
And when Abigail saw Dawid, she hasted and lighted off the ass, and fell before Dawid on her face, and bowed herself to the ground, and fell at his feet, and said, Upon me, my Adonai, upon me let this lawlessness be.
Upon me. Go ahead.
And let your handmaid, I pray you, speak in your audience, and hear the words of your handmaid. Let not my master, I pray you, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him.
She said, look, I married a fool. All right? I realize that I married a fool, but look here. Regard not this man of evil. He is a man full of folly. I apologize. Let this sin be upon me. She preserving the house. Go ahead.
But I, your handmaid, saw not the young man of my master, whom you did send. Now therefore, my master, as Yahweh lives, and as your soul lives, seeing Yahweh has withholden you from coming to shed blood, and from avenging yourself with your own hand, now let your enemies, and they that seek evil to my master, be as Nabal. And now this blessing which your handmaid has brought unto my master, let it even be given unto the young men that follow my master. I pray you, forgive the trespass of your handmaid.
Forgive the trespass of your handmaid, like she did it. She didn't do it. Go ahead.
For Yahweh will certainly make my master a sure house.
Yahweh will make my master a sure house. Now, wait a minute. Her husband saw that differently. Her husband said he's just a man who pulled away from his master. She said, you going to be king. Now, in the same house, there's two different views. My elder always said it. A divided house shall not stand. There's two different thought processes in this house. And the one that prevails is not the one that's the head of the house. The one that prevails is the one that's right. I'm going to say that one more time. The one that prevails is not because one is the head of the house. The one that prevails is the one that's right. Go ahead.
Because my master fights the battles of Yahweh, and evil has not been found in you all your days.
Now, she saw that, but Nabal saw something else. Go ahead.
Yet a man is risen to pursue you and to seek your soul.
Now check that out. A man. Wait a minute. The man. You see her vision of this? A man has risen up to pursue you. That's the king who pursuing you. Their vision, their thought process about this situation is totally different. The husband sees it on the left side, the wife sees it on the right side. And she truly sees it on the right side. Go ahead.
But you know, even if, like you say, like they said earlier, he's a man that you can't talk to.
Uh-huh.
If he was a man that could be spoken to, him and her could be having conversations where she could show him, say, no, you're viewing this the wrong way. And,
right.
and they can conversate about their different views and come to some common ground.
Right. She might be able to persuade him, but she can't persuade him. He is not one that can be reasoned with. And sometimes people who are obstinate don't always appear obstinate. They'll just look at you like you're stupid. They still gonna do it. My mom used to describe the difference between me and my brother as kids. That I would do something or get into something, and whether I'm explaining my point or something, me and her would get to arguing. And eventually we come to an understanding. My brother was the nicest one ever. It seemed like I was the bad kid because I would be the one that's saying, well, no, such and such. At this point, we're reasoning. Well, no reasoning with my brother. He smiled at you. He's still going to do what the hell he want to do. He sit right there and talk. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. He already know exactly what he gonna do. Them people still sitting in the car, in the driveway, waiting for him. He like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Hey, y'all, I'll be out in a second. Yes, ma'am. That's right. That is wrong. You are right. That is wrong. Matter of fact, let me get another napkin to wipe myself because I'm going to get real dirty doing this wrong. None of it. But the conversation went much smoother with him than it went with me. So don't get it twisted. All points of adversary don't show that way. Some of them appear very smooth. Like it says, a man had 2 sons. Okay. One of them repented and went. Go ahead.
But the soul of my master shall be bound in the bundle of life with Yahweh your Elohim. And the souls of your enemies, them shall he sling out, as out of the middle of a sling. And it shall come to pass, when Yahweh shall have done to my master according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you, and shall have appointed you ruler over Israel, that this shall be no grief unto you, nor offense of heart unto my master, either that you have shed blood causelessly, or that my master has avenged himself. But when Yahweh shall have dealt well with my master...
When Yahweh shall have dealt well. Not only is she giving good advice, she's giving prophetic answer about this situation. Not if Yahweh is going to do this, but when Yahweh does this for you. Go ahead.
Then remember your handmaid. And David said unto Abigail...
Now, I don't know what she was asking right there. When Yahweh has done you good, remember your handmaid. Now, that could have been a very innocent question. But keep reading.
Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Israel, which sent you this day to meet me. And blessed be your advice, and blessed be you, which have kept me this day from coming to shed blood and from avenging myself with mine own hand.
Now, stop. The king-to-be can be reasoned with, but a man who think he got something going on is such a man of Belial that no man can even speak to him. Now, check that out. A man operating 400 men can be reasoned with from a woman on a camel with some cakes and figs. But a man who think he got something going on, you can't say nothing to him. That is quite interesting. You know, I run in that, and I'm sure you have too, the difference between when you're working, the people who think they're rich and the people who rich. You have all these problems from the people who think they're rich. The folk who rich be the nicest folk. You don't have no problem with those people. It's them folk who sit in the middle. You have all these problems from the folk who think they're rich. Rich folk don't bother you at all. You can tell the difference between folk who got some money and folk who think they got some money. Them folk who think they got some money give you hell. Them folk who know they got some money, leave you the hell alone.
Rich man open his door and say, come on, where you need to go? And they go, you forget they even in the house.
Right.
Boy, I think I made it. You turn around, you bumping into him.
Hey, you stop. I stopped one time and a dude bumped into my back. I said, all right, I see what game we playing. I ran him till he damn near had a heart attack. I went down the stairs and up the stairs and down the stairs and up the stairs. I said, all right, so we done now? You just go ahead. Go ahead. All right. Now I can start working. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 34. For in very deed, as Yahweh Elohim of Israel lives, which has kept me back from hurting you, except you had hasted and come to meet me, surely there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light any that piss against the wall.
Except you had come hasted. Except you had stopped what you were doing. Changed your direction and came to me. There wouldn't be any man in your house right now. Understand, there's a lot of innocent people that's going to have to deal with this wrath because they are part of that house. And on a warring aspect, you have to be careful what you leave alive when you decide to cross that warring line. Once you cross that warring line, everything that you decide to leave becomes a potential strike back later on when you're not watching. So he knows once he go there, everything in there got to die. If it stands. Go ahead.
So David received of her hand that which she had brought him, and said unto her, Go up in peace to your house. See, I have hearkened to your voice, and have accepted your person. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house, like the feast of a king, and Nabal's heart was merry within him.
Now you see that? Mm-hmm. The wording is interesting. He held the feast of a king, right? But the king could be reasoned with, but Nabal cannot. Nabal can't be spoken to, but the king could be reasoned with. Yet he's throwing a party like a king. Go ahead.
So it shows you what position he want to have, but don't know how to be in that position.
Right, right. And see, this is how we poison our next step up. Because we so busy thinking that we already there, we can't get to the next step. He partying like a king while disrespecting a king. Check that out. Had he been nice to a king, he might actually have been invited to king gatherings later on. Go ahead.
For he was very drunken, wherefore she told him nothing, less or more, until the morning light.
And you know that the intelligence of this woman is shining bright, because she knew not to talk to a drunken fool. She know that this is not prosperous at all. Ain't he talking to him? I might as well go and look directly at the bottle and talk. Cavassier, you got a second? What do you think I ought to do, Cavassier? You be better off talking to him? Cavassier, answer back. Go ahead.
But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. And it came to pass about 10 days after, that Yahweh smote Nabal, that he died. And when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be Yahweh, that has pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and has kept his servant from evil. For Yahweh has returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head. And David sent and communed with Abigail to take her to him to wife.
Now, I don't know what she meant by remember your handmaid when these things come to pass. I'm sure she didn't know exactly what was going to happen with her husband. She probably just, wanted to be recognized for the good deed so that there would be some preserving of the house. Because it's obvious he couldn't preserve the house, no matter how much money he had. Go ahead.
And when the servants of David were come to Abigail to Carmel, they spake unto her, saying, David sendeth unto you to take you to him to wife.
So, and we know by reading that is exactly what happened. Now, back that up between the take the pound from him and give it to him that has 10. What did Yahweh just do? What did he just do? The brother had that and buried it in the ground. Yahweh took it and gave it to somebody else. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 14. See, these things are written for us, but you have to make sure that you don't keep it so one-dimensional that you can't see what's directly in front of you. See, we'll read pound and all we'll think about is money. It says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. It says she adds value to his home. Is value not money? Go ahead, bro.
In her statement, she says, when these things come to pass, forget not your handmaid. Those things didn't even come to pass yet. And David said, no, I need this on the team.
Yep, right away. Because he knew one thing. If you can advise a king to be and stop. David know he been anointed. He know that crown is his. He just got to go get it. He know it's his. But in a king's court is great counselors. Man, he just had a counselor stand in front of him that talked him out of war. No, this worthy right here. I don't know what he was doing with it. He was too busy partying and being drunken. I don't know what he did with it, but I can tell you what. This is something that belongs on the team. Go ahead. Leviticus 14 started at verse 33.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and unto Aaron, saying, When you be come into the land of Canaan, which I give to you for a possession, and I put the plague of leprosy in a house of the land of your possession. And he that owns the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, It seems to me there is as it were a plague in the house.
You know what'll happen when we have a plague in the house? The priest is the last one we want to tell. We'll go and tell the dude at the car wash. We'll tell the dude at the barbershop. Last person we want to tell that there's a plague in our house is the priest. We don't want him to know. Tell anybody but him. Go ahead.
Then the priest shall command that they empty the house.
That's why they don't want to tell the priest. So, all right, well, we need to go through the process of let's seeing how we going to cleanse this house. No. You know what? If I tell the dude at the barbershop, he just going to we just going to talk about it. See, if I tell the priest, he going to try to figure out, all right, well, how can we cleanse it? And then that's going to mean I'm going to have to change something. And I don't want to change nothing. I just want to talk about this to make myself feel better, but I don't want to change nothing. I don't want to make no changes. Go ahead.
Before the priest go into it to see the plague, that all that is in the house be not made unclean, and afterward the priest shall go in to see the house. And he shall look on the plague, and behold, if the plague be in the walls of the house, with hollow strakes, greenish or reddish, which in sight are lower than the wall, then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house, and shut up the house 7 days. And the priest shall come again the 7th day, and shall look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the walls of the house, then the priest shall command that they take away the stones in which the plague is, and they shall cast them into an unclean place without the city. And he shall cause the house to be scraped within round about, and they shall pour out the dust that they scrape off without the city into an unclean place. And they shall take other stones, and put them in the place of those stones, and he shall take other mortar, and shall plaster the house. And if the plague come again, and break out in the house, after that he has taken away the stones, and after that he has scraped the house, and after it is plastered, then the priest shall come and look. And, behold, if the plague be spread in the house, it is a fretting leprosy in the house, it is unclean. And he shall break down the house, the stones of it, and the timber thereof, and all the mortar of the house, and he shall carry them forth out of the city into an unclean place. Moreover, he that goes into the house, all the while that it is shut up, shall be unclean until the even. And he that lies in the house shall wash his clothes, and he that eateth in the house shall wash his clothes. And if the priest shall come in and look upon it, and, behold, the plague has not spread in the house, after the house was plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, because the plague is healed. And he shall take to cleanse the house 2 birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And he shall kill the one of the birds in an earthen vessel over running water. And he shall take the cedar wood, and the hyssop, and the scarlet, and the living bird, and dip them in the blood of the slain bird, and in the running water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. And he shall cleanse the house with the blood of the bird, and with the running water, and with the living bird, and with the cedar wood, and with the hyssop, and with the scarlet. But he shall let go the living bird out of the city into the open fields, and make an atonement for the house, and it shall be clean.
All right, so atonement then has to be made for this unclean house. but it has to be brought forth and brought to the table that there's something unclean in this house. But what will happen is a lot of times we will stay in an unclean state for a prolonged period because we don't want to alert the people who know how to clean it. Because we don't want to go through the changes that it's going to bring. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 5. And this is how dealing with certain aspects of the world will keep us in a constant state whereby we cannot grow. Because we're worried about the uncomfortable part. And instead of going and dealing with that uncomfortable part of being reinstated, we'll rather stay in a familiar unclean state than to go through the period of uncomfortableness to get clean. Zechariah chapter 5, and let's read verses 1 through 4.
Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying robe. And he said unto me, What seest you? And I answered, I see a flying robe. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goes forth over the face of the whole earth. For every one that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it. And every one that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. I'll bring it forth, says Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. Now
understand, a whole lot of times we don't understand the level of what it is that we're doing. When Ananias and Sapphira lied about the property, they lied unto the servants of Yahweh. But what was told unto them, I know it's us you see, but it's Elohim who you have lied to. And there they died. They didn't see that they were lying unto Yahweh. They only saw the men who were in front of them. So a lot of times we have to consider how Yahweh may look at something. And how that gets, the difficulty comes in is because we may see it one way. And sometimes you got to pause and wonder, okay, how does Yahweh view this? I know how I view it. Let me pause and to try to see how he might view it. That means I got to go into several other situations. I got to go, okay, how might he look at this? And then I look at other situations of, okay, this is what happened. This is how he looked at it. This is what happened. This is how Yahweh looked at it. Then you sit your situation, and then you got to sit there and meditate. Not how I see it. It's really easy for me to figure out how I see it. I need to see how he sees it. And that needs to be the direction that I need to be dealing in. How does he see that? Because his punishment is always going to be poetic when it comes down to the situation. So the children of Israel said, you done brought us out here that our kids may die. What Yahweh say? Oh, your kids going to be the only one living. No, you going to die. Now your kids going to walk in the land. Them people who you said that I brought out here to kill, I'm going to let your lie be your truth. Them kids going to live. Every last one of them that you said they were so weak and I brought them out here and they ain't got no water and they got a little bit of food and they got to, I'm going to show you how they going to grow up to be strong and walk in that land. And you going to die right here in the place where you transgress against me. So you watch and take note of how he deals with situations. Those are the things that we meditate on. Go ahead, bro.
And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and it shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof.
If it consumes it with the timber and the stones, that's the wood and the brick. So the curse is consuming the house just as the plague of leprosy did. So now you have a physical plague of a house, but here you have a spiritual plague in the house. It won't be because there's lines in the rocks. It won't be because there's discolored wood. It will be a curse in their house because something spiritually has not been taken care of. And you won't see it by examining the wood. You're going to have to examine something else to see the curse in that house. Go to the next graphic and read that for me.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 26 says, neither shall you bring an abomination into your house, lest you be a cursed thing like it. But you shall utterly detest it, and you shall utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing.
Right. How many cursed individuals do we invite to our houses? We go out and party with the cursed. We go out and hang out with the cursed. See, sometimes we'll forget, okay, we get a job, and that job provides us with the means to take care of our family and do things for our Elohim. Then sometimes we cross the line and we think that this job is the place of our happiness and hangout spot. No. That's not what your job is. So now because we work with somebody, now we start hanging out with them. Okay, what is the culture of these individuals? And are you influencing them or are they influencing you? When you get a job, it ain't for you to go in there and evangelize people either. That ain't your job. It ain't your job to go in there and seal their redemption. What does your job description say? Does it say redemption sealer? A package packager? Well, you better go in there and package them damn packages. That ain't your job. Stick to your job. You're going to open your mouth, say the wrong thing, and you're going to be out of a job. See, if we're supposed to be good servants, how you going to learn how to be a servant under Elohim? You ain't figured out how to be a servant to Mr. Bob Dabalina. You can't follow instructions over there. He told you to be in warehouse A. You over here in warehouse D. What the hell you doing over here? That same way you going to serve your Elohim. You supposed to be over here, but you way over there. What you over there for? Right. Same way you do the other stuff. But he give you opportunity to see it so that you might fix it. But when that grace period is over, it is truly over. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 22. And everybody wants their grace period extended. There's not a person alive. They tell you, all right, the bill due on the 1st, but it's going to be late on the 15th. Tell me, why don't we call on the 14th? Hey, look here. Hey, look. Hey, buddy. Look here. Can I talk to you for a second? Now, your grace period ends tomorrow. Well, can I get a grace for the grace? So you want a grace period for the grace period? Right. Jeremiah 22, and let's read verses 11 through 27.
For thus says Yahweh, touching Shalem, the son of Josiah, king of Yehudah, which reigned instead of Josiah his father, which went forth out of his place, he shall not return thither any more, but he shall die in the place whither they have led him captive, and shall see this land no more. Woe unto him that builds his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong, that uses his neighbor's service without wages and gives him not for his work. That saith, I will build me a wide house and large chambers, and cuts him out windows, and it is sealed with cedar and painted with vermilion. Shall you reign because you clothe yourself in cedar? Did not your father eat and drink, and do judgment and justice, and then it was well with him? He judged the cause of the poor and needy, then it was well with him. Was not this to know me, says Yahweh? But your eyes and your heart are not but for your covetousness, and for to shed innocent blood, and for oppression, and for violence to do it. Therefore thus says Yahweh concerning Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Yehudah. They shall not lament for him, saying, Ah, my brother, or Ah, sister. They shall not lament for him, saying, Ah, master, or Ah, his glory. He shall be buried with the burial of an ass, drawn and cast forth beyond the gates of Jerusalem. Go up to Lebanon and cry, and lift up your voice in Bashan, and cry from the passages, for all your lovers are destroyed. I spake unto you in your prosperity, but you said, I will not hear.
This is when it's hardest for us to hear. I spake unto you in your prosperity, but you wouldn't hear. All that stuff was in front of your ear. So let me move some of this stuff. That's fine clothing you got on. Give me that. That's a fine vehicle you got there. That's a fine chariot. Give me that. That's a really nice house you staying in. Give me that. Now let me talk to you again. Can you hear me now? You want to keep your stuff, you got to be able to hear why you got your stuff. If you can't hear why you got your stuff, then you give him no choice but to take away your stuff. Then you come crying about you ain't got no stuff. You the reason why you don't got no stuff. Because you can't hear with the stuff. Then you go crying, Yahweh took it from you. You took it from you. Learn how to hear with the stuff. Do you think he has pleasure in taking your stuff? He don't want your little stuff. Yahweh ride upon the wings of the wind. You think he wants your damn Corolla? Read, man.
This has been your manner from your youth, that you obeyeth not my voice. The wind shall eat up all your...
This has been your manner from your youth. This has been your manner from your youth. Go ahead.
You're a grown man still dealing with childhood issues.
Hey, man, hey. In the grand scheme of things, brother, that's all us. We don't want to admit it. But we grown-ass men and children. Walk around dealing with childhood issues that ain't never been talked about or dealt with. And we don't want to talk about them. We don't want to bring them out so that they'll be dealt with because the issues are still dealing with us. They control how we think. They control how we eat. They control how we walk. And it's childhood issues. And here we didn't meet people, and those people got to deal with our childhood issues, but we don't want to tell them the childhood trauma that's connected to that issue. Oh, you know, every time you turn on the light, you got somebody you supposed to be in a relationship with, you hit the light on and they duck and run under the bed. What the hell wrong with us? There's some trauma connected to that, but they don't want to tell you that trauma. So then, we coach people how to operate around the trauma. So now folk don't turn the light on right away. Instead of, how about let's talk about why in the hell you run every time I flip this light on? Can we have this conversation? Instead of working with it, I can work with it better if I know what this is. Let's have a conversation about this trauma. But this thing is controlling you, and thus it is entering into my sphere. Because now I'm having to deal with it because of you. I'll deal with things, but at least let me know what I'm dealing with. And then we expect people to read our minds about our childhood trauma. Damn it, I wasn't there in preschool with you. Go ahead, brother.
The wind shall eat up all your pastors, and your lovers shall go into captivity. Surely then shall you be ashamed and confounded for all your wickedness. O inhabitant of Lebanon, that maketh your nest in the cedars, how gracious shall you be when pangs come upon you, the pains as of a woman in travail. As I live, says Yahweh, though Coniah the son of Jehoiakim, king of Yehudah, were the signet upon my right hand, yet would I pluck you thence. And I'll give you into the hand of them that seek your life, and into the hand of them whose face you feareth, even into the hand of Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of the Chaldeans.
Now understand what Yahweh said about Nebuchadnezzar said my servant Nebuchadnezzar. But don't get it twisted. You have servants, and then you got them independent contractors. See, you got employees versus independent contractors. See, Judas was an independent contractor. Once his job was done, he can go ahead and go hang himself or do whatever the hell contractors do when their job is over. Don't matter. His job is finished. Cephas, on the other hand, was an employee. See, the employee, has to do a little bit more than the independent contractor, but he got benefits, though. See, the independent contractor don't have no benefits. He might get to leave early, and you might be a little jealous. Hey, man, he left at 2:30. Yeah, but he don't have no benefits. Hey, man, wait a minute. He didn't come here to 9. We've been here since 7. Yeah, but he don't have no company car. He got to buy that gas. Understand, Yahweh has employees and he has independent contractors. Our problem is we want to be an employee, but we keep hanging out with these damn independent contractors. You hanging up, getting cozy with an independent contractor. Look, they time about to run out. They giving jobs in month spans or year span. Once their job is done, they gotta go. Be careful cozying up to an independent contractor. They have no loyalty to the company. Why? Because they don't work for it. They check don't come from the same place your check come from. Check that out. The company don't pay independent contractors. They get another company to pay the independent contractor. I don't think you understand what's going on here. Y'all might be working in the same vineyard, but y'all ain't working for the same master. Right. Go ahead, brother. You finish that?
Verse 26. And I cast you out and your mother that bare you into another country where you were not born, and there shall you die. But to the land whereunto they desire to return, thither shall they not return.
All right, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 5. See, I done been both between an independent contractor and an employee. Matter of fact, I was an employee first, so when I became an independent contractor, I said, oh man, this is the way to go. I ain't never gonna work at a job no more. And I started dealing everything in cash, but then Yahweh got me to a certain level, and that cash wasn't working out. I said, I ain't have to deal with credit, I ain't have to deal with nothing. Then I wanted to solidify this whole independent contractor thing. I mean, I've been doing it over a decade, but then it was time to step on another level, and I'm asking Yahweh for one thing, and then he gives me a job. I don't want no job. But Yahweh knew, no. The place where you're going to need some credit. Because you ain't going to have all the cash to do the job that I need for you to do. So I'm going to need you to get a few of them cards in your wallet. I don't need no cards. It started being funny to me when I first got the job that all of a sudden I started getting credit again, which I hadn't played the credit game in a long time. So it became a game at the house. Hey, let's see if they'll increase my credit. I ain't using the credit card, but damn it, it was fun. They was like, here, give you more money. And we were like, keep giving me money. It's funny. So I started doing it with all the cards. Boom. They kept increasing them. Duh. Yahweh like, oh yeah, by the way, I need you to build a fence out there. Use the blue card. All right. Now, well, you know what? That I'm gonna need you. You got paint. Use the red one. Get the paint for that. I be damn. So the whole time I was playing, he already had something for that. See, he worked way before you. Way before you. Matter of fact, he'll even deceive you, and you don't know what you're doing it for. It was a game to me. It was funny. We looking at like, wow, they just keep increasing the limit. These people so stupid. No. I was the dumbest one in the scenario. Because I'm the only one that don't know what this is for. I didn't know what it was for because we hadn't got it yet. How would I know what it's for? But that's how your Elohim works. If you got to know before you go, you're not a good servant. Go ahead, brother.
Jeremiah chapter 5 and verse 1. Run you to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem, and see now, and know, and seek in the broad places thereof, if you can find a man, if there be any that executeth judgment, that seeks the truth, and I'll pardon it. And though they say, Yahweh live, surely they swear falsely. O Yahweh, are not your eyes upon the truth? You have stricken them, but they have not grieved. You have consumed them, but they have refused to receive correction. They have made their faces harder than a rock. They have refused to return. Therefore I said, surely these are poor. They are foolish, for they know not the way of Yahweh, nor the judgment of their El. I will get me on to the great men, and will speak on to them, for they have known the way of Yahweh, and the judgment of their El. But these have altogether broken the yoke and burst the bonds. Wherefore a lion out of the forest shall slay them, and a wolf of the evening shall spoil them. A leopard shall watch over their cities. Every one that goes out thence shall be torn in pieces, because their transgressions are many, and their backslidings are increased. How shall I pardon you for this? Your children have forsaken me, and sworn by them that are no gods. When I had fed them to the full, they then committed adultery and assembled themselves by troops in the harlots' houses.
And this is when Yahweh had the most trouble out of us, when he fed us to the full. Then it's hard for us to hear somehow. Somehow all that stuff covers our ears. We can't hear no more because we full of stuff. Now, to get our attention, he's got to go ahead and remove some of this stuff. And sometimes that stuff is also people. Sometimes we got people in our midst that's causing us not to hear anything that Yahweh is trying to say to us. Sometimes your bestie is your worstie. And if you put them people in a position where Yahweh can't get to you because of them, do you realize you just put that person's life in jeopardy? Do you realize that? You put that person's life in jeopardy. When the prophet Jonah ran, didn't everybody else in the ship have problems? Were they after anybody else in the ship? Nobody else in the ship had a problem. Like, what the hell just happened? Him right there. He got on this ship. We done had all kind of hell. And he got on this ship. All right, y'all, just throw me off. Right. Nobody else in there had no problem. Them problems follow you. You run fast, the problem faster. Go ahead.
They were as fed horses in the morning. Everyone neighed after his neighbor's wife. Shall I not visit for these things, says Yahweh, and shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? Go you up upon her walls and destroy, but make not a full end. Take away her battlements, for they are not Yahweh's. For the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah have dealt very treacherously against me, says Yahweh. They have belied Yahweh, and said, It is not he, neither shall evil come upon us, neither shall we see sword nor famine. And the prophets shall become wind, and the word is not in them. Thus shall it be done unto them. Wherefore thus says Yahweh Elohim of hosts, because you speak this word, behold, I will make my words in your mouth fire, and this people wood, and it shall devour them. Lo, I'll bring a nation upon you from far, O house of Israel, says Yahweh. It is a mighty nation. It is an ancient nation, a nation whose language you knoweth not, neither understand what they say.
So if you are going to be conquered by a nation whose language you do not know, a language that you do not understand, and you're going to be overcome by those people, how you still speak your ancient language? If once you begin to have offspring and those offspring don't know the language but know the language of the conqueror, how the hell you still speak the ancient language then? See, there's certain things that you got to sit down and realize that don't make no damn sense. Go ahead.
Their quiver is as an open grave. They are almighty men. And they shall eat up your harvest and your bread, which your sons and your daughters should eat. They shall eat up your flocks and your herds. They shall eat up your vines and your fig trees. They shall impoverish your fenced cities wherein you trusted, with the sword. Nevertheless, in those days, says Yahweh, I'll make a full end with you. And it shall come to pass, when you shall say, Wherefore does Yahweh our Elohim all these things unto us? Then shall you answer them, like as you have forsaken me, and served strange gods in your land, so shall you serve strangers in a land that is not yours.
You say, hey, listen to the poetic way of his punishment. When you are trying to figure something out, learn how he operates. Okay, wherefore does Yahweh our Elohim all these things unto us? Then shall you answer them, like as you have forsaken me, and serve strange gods in your land, so shall you serve strangers in a land that is not yours. You see how he take your action and flip it and give it back to you? He said you shall reap what you have sown. You only gonna grow what you plant. Now sometimes we so busy playing in the field we didn't pay attention to what we planted. See, we just throwing seeds. We just throwing now when it start growing, like, hey man, who put these watermelons in? Bro, you didn't pay attention to what you were putting out? Well, I just reached in the bag. Well, this was in the bag. You didn't pay attention to what you threw out. Don't be upset now when it started growing. This is what you planted. You can only grow that which you have planted. If you look up and there's nothing but weeds there, if you look up and there's some undesirable fruit, back up a couple months or a year and see what you planted. I guarantee you that was it. No, you got exactly what you put in the ground. The ground can only produce that which is put in it. You planted that. If you want better fruit, if you want better outcome, you got to put something better in. Go ahead.
Declare this in the house of Jacob and publish it in Yehudah, saying, Hear now this, O foolish people, and without understanding, which have eyes and see not, which have ears and hear not. Fear you not me, says Yahweh. Will you not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for the bond of the sea by a perpetual decree, that it cannot pass it? And though the waves thereof toss themselves, yet can they not prevail. Though they roar, yet can they not pass over it. But this people has a revolting and a rebellious heart.
Revolting and rebellious heart. And since Yahweh deals with things poetically, you have to go to Hosea, where he says, I will not punish your wives when they commit adultery. Oh man, that's the worst thing any brother want to hear right there. Wait, hey, what? Say, no, I ain't gonna punish your wife when she commit adultery. What kind of conversation are we having, Yahweh? I don't understand. I don't understand what kind of talk we having right here. Well, no, I want to show you how it feels with what you did to me. I want to show you what this feels like. So I'm gonna show you in your house. Go ahead.
They are revolted and gone. Neither say they in their heart, let us now fear Yahweh our Elohim, that gives rain, both the former and the latter rain, in his season. He reserveth unto us the appointed weeks of the harvest. Your lawlessness have turned away these things, and your sins have withholden good things from you.
Now, we'll say Yahweh has done this. Or we'll say some brother, it's all because that brother and them, or that sister, or they and them. They did, no. He said, your doings has withheld this. No. It was your doings the reason I took this. No. It was your doings while I shut this down. But we'll put all that on somebody else. Because the hardest thing to take is responsibility. Go ahead.
For among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait, as he that sets snares. They set a trap, they catch men. As a cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Therefore they are become great and waxen rich. They are waxen fat, they shine. Yea, they oppress the deeds of the wicked. They overpass the deeds of the wicked, pardon me. They judge not the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper. And the right of the needy do they not judge. Shall I not visit for these things, says Yahweh? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? A wonderful and horrible thing is committed in the land. The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests bear rule by their means. And my people love to have it so.
My people love to have it so. They should be angry. They should be angry. But that's exactly what they want. Go ahead.
And what will you do in the end thereof?
Right. Let's go to Mark chapter 8. See, in this quest to war against the world, because the world is in us because we spent a whole lot of time in it. So you have to fight the world from an inside fight and an external fight. But it's interesting sometimes when things come up, and you might have to have a forum with a brother or with a family about something that was done unto them, and then people skate and run away from the forum, right? Those people then got excommunicated. Then when it's time for a brother to have a forum about his own family and he don't show up, what is he asking Yahweh to do?
Excommunicate him.
Okay, go ahead.
Verse 31. And he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and of the chief priests and scribes and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And he spake that saying openly, and Cephas took him and began to rebuke him. But when he had turned about and looked on his disciples, he rebuked Cephas, saying, Get you behind me, Satan.
Right. It's not about the individual. It's about the spirit that the individual is entertaining. See, this is our problem. We can't deal with this because this our friend. We can't deal with this because this our spouse. I can't deal with this because this my husband. I can't deal with this because this my wife. What is the spirit of the words that's coming out of their mouth? Then that's the spirit that they are entertaining at that very moment. And Yahshua know this spirit is all about the flesh, that spirit that's coming out of your mouth right now. That spirit is not about accepting what's best for the entire nation of Israel. That spirit that you're speaking with is about what's best for you. And Yahshua rebuked it. He didn't care that this is going to be the next leader of the congregation. He don't care nothing about that. Matter of fact, he probably cut him even harder. Because how can you lead if you don't know how to follow? Go ahead.
For you savoreth not the things that be of Elohim, but the things that be of men. And when he had called the people unto him with his disciples also, he said unto them, Whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his burdens and follow me.
This is the hardest thing for some of us to do. Whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself. This is why the person that only had that one talent or that 1 pound had it. Because they spent all their time doing work for themselves. So they never had any time or opportunity to do things for Yahweh. This person wasn't just not doing anything. They still somehow existed. The master went on a journey and came back. The person didn't starve to death, did they? So, all right, that pound wasn't the only pound they had. That was the only thing they had of his. They still had their own work. They still had their own duties. And they put their time and energy into doing that. Go ahead.
For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. But whosoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel's, the same shall save it. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul?
What shall a man give in exchange for his soul? What shall it profit you if you shall gain the whole world? You got money, you get all of these things, and you lost all the things that matter. We do all of these things so that we may provide for a house. Then get all of that and pull the house down, timber by timber, rock by rock. What good did it do you? You got a great house only to go knock it down. Go ahead.
Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels.
Now, will we admit that we are ashamed of Yahshua? When we go out, now, it's not our job to go and evangelize people, but what is it that when someone comes and approaches you about who you are, why you operate this way, are we ashamed of Yahshua when it comes down to that? I want you to read the note in Hebrews for me.
Hebrews 5:12. For when for the time you ought to be teachers, you have need that one teach you again.
Now, why would we be in that situation? If you have been educated in the word, it says that the children of Israel, a Jew resteth in the law, and it's taught out of the law. Why you got to be put back on milk? Go ahead.
You have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of Elohim, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat.
You know, it's a real strange visual to see a grown man with a baby bottle. But sometimes that's where Yahweh had to step you back to. Because we refuse to grow. Let's go to 1 John chapter 2. When he starts talking about taking on your burden and following me, part of the thing of the world is to get you so overcome with providing for the house. And as men, we all fall into that trap one way or another. That because we want to provide the bigger thing, we want to make sure, all right, is the mortgage paid, is the cars paid. We really don't give a damn about Netflix, all right? But what happens is sometimes we put so much energy into that when it comes down to the other parts of dealing with the family, we have exhausted all our being in dealing on the plantation. And then we don't have anything left mentally to deal at the house. And we gotta stop letting Babylon do that to us. That you are just so mentally tired that you don't even want to engage in conversation with the people who have been waiting all day to see you. In this, the world wars against us, and they win in no small battles. Because they got you to the point where you are mentally tired. What does it take to have a conversation with the people who love you? But the world wars against us and takes that away from us, that we don't even want to engage in conversation when we get off. Then we let the adversary win. A lot of times, man, we pray before we go to work so that we may be able to deal with all the mess that we're going to deal with in that span. But you know what we don't do? Pray when we get ready to go home. I pray that I leave all this mess here and I can go home with an empty heart and love my family without this stuff being on me. We got to start praying the opposite way. We praying in the car before we go in. We need to pray in the car when we come out. I pray, Abba Father, leave all this in UPS parking lot. Let it be right here in parking lot spot number 127. Let it not go to 3418 Wichita Drive in Yahshua's name. Amen. All right, where we at, bro?
1 John chapter 2 and verse 15.
All right, go ahead.
Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
Right, because when you start getting that in the world gonna give you certain aggression. You're gonna bring that aggression home. That aggression gonna come home with you. See, that's that war with the world, and sometimes, man, it's stuck on you. See, when you go to certain places, that sin will still be on you. You go home, that world sin on you. Go ahead.
For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes.
That lust of the eyes, you never stop desiring things. Keep reading.
And the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passes away, and the lust thereof. But he that does the will of Elohim abides forever. Little children, it is the last time, and as you have heard, that Antichrist shall come. Even now are there many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us.
This is why Yahshua said automatically, have not I chosen you 12 and one of you is a devil? He already knew Judas is with us, but he's not really with us. He's an independent contractor. He's not an employee. He's among us, but he's not us. Go ahead.
But they went out, that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us. But you have an unction from the Holy One, and you know all things. I have not written unto you because you know not the truth, but because you know it, and that no lie is of the truth. Who is a liar but he that denies that Yahshua is the Anointed One? He is Antichrist, that denies the Father and the Son. Whosoever denies the Son, the same has not the Father. But he that acknowledges the Son has the Father also. Let that therefore abide in you, which you have heard from the beginning. If that which you have heard from the beginning shall remain in you, you also shall continue in the Son and in the Father. And this is the promise that he has promised us, even eternal life. These things have I written unto you concerning them that seduce you.
Now, half the time, we don't know that we are being seduced with a familiar spirit. Go ahead.
But the anointing which you have received of him abides in you, and you need not that any man teach you. But as the same anointing teaches you of all things, and is truth, and is no lie, and even as it has taught you, you shall abide in him. And now, little children, abide in him, that, when he shall appear, we may have confidence, and not be ashamed before him at his coming. If you know that he is righteous, you know that everyone that does righteousness is born of him.
Everyone that does righteousness is born of him. The one thing we have to go back to is this lust of the eyes. What will end up happening a lot of times is we may have in our thought process something that we want to achieve or something we want to get. We may be just going to the mall and we say, all right, I'm going to the mall. I know these shoes just came out. I want these shoes. But when you get in that mall and the lust of the eyes start going, now you have renegotiated everything. And depending on which area of that mall you go into, you done came out without the shoes. But you got 2-3 other things because you done spent the shoe money. You don't have any more money to get the stuff that you were supposed to be going. That's what the lust of the eyes does. It causes you to renegotiate your original plan. And what is it all for? These images that we like to present. And presenting a face is like marketing. It works for a while. Because a good marketing campaign will cause you to overpay for something of lesser value, even with the knowledge of knowing that the value is not up to par. If it means something to you, you'll still get it. There is a story about a man who bought the $400,000 Rolls Royce. He did the research on the Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce been owned by BMW since 1989. The parts in the $400,000 Rolls Royce is just like the parts in the BMW 700. The problem is the BMW 700 costs $100,000. The Rolls Royce costs $400,000. The man was so interested in image, he still overpaid, knowing that that is really a $100,000 car that he paid $400,000 for. Why? Because of the image that it presents when he pulls up. The difference is he know he overpaid. He made a decision and a choice to overpay because of the image. How many of us actually know we overpaying? Right. Let's go to John chapter 15. I know you want to say something right there, kids, because anytime some cars come up, he got some sockets in his bag right now. He just want to pull out and just put them on the table. Right? John chapter 15, and we're going to start at verse 11.
These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you.
Do you know what that is? If you love one another as I have loved you. He didn't get ticked off at every little thing that we did and just decided that he wasn't going to deal with us. He didn't get to the point where he said, you know what? You are completely damned and I'm done with you. He didn't do that. He says, love one another as I have loved you. Do you know how he loves you? And if you don't, then that's why you don't know how to love your brother or your sister. That's why you don't know how to love your spouse. That's why you don't know how to love your husband. That's why you don't know how to love your wife. Because you don't know how he loves you. Go ahead.
Greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends, if you do whatsoever I command you.
How do you lay down your life for your friends? How do you lay down your life? We know how he did it. I'm talking about you. How do you lay down your life? You set your own desires to the side for the cares of somebody else. See, you don't have to give your life physically. You set aside the things that you want for something else. This is parenting 101. Folks be ready to bring forth kids in the world, but they just not ready to move away their desires. They still want what they want. That is the actual opposite of bringing kids in the world. I want a kid. Okay. Well, parenting 101. You remember all that stuff you wanted? Yeah. You remember all that stuff you desired? Yeah. Look in the trash can. It's in there. Go in there. Open up the, yeah. Open it up. There it is right there. All that you're going to have to put aside to go and deal with that. No. People not ready to do that. They want the image that comes with certain things. So we on our marketing campaign still then. Go ahead.
You know, brother, there's certain, and you've discussed it before, there's certain characteristics in you that Yahweh don't want you to get rid of. He just needs you to be able to tweak it.
Uh-huh.
You know, when I was younger, my father said something to me, and I took it negatively because he was getting on my case. He said, you know what your problem is? You always leave your business to spoil to go help your friends. But look at it, no, that's the characteristic that Yahweh wants.
Mm-hmm.
He wants somebody who's going to put down what the hell they doing to go take care of his business.
Right. We just got to alter it for him. See, what happened is we turn around and we do that for other individuals. That is supposed to be set aside for him. See, but it is that characteristic before you find out what to do with it. People use you with that one. I know it well. People use you with that before you figure out. See, it's the giver that has to always place limits. The taker don't never have to place limits. Always. It's always the giver who's going to say, you know what? No, that's enough right there. See, because I feel like I'm getting used now. The taker will never say, you know what? You done gave me $15,000. You know what? I can't even receive no more. Nah, that ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. And the same folks who rent you pay be the first one to talk about you. Well, the next time they talk about you, they're gonna be outside though. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knows not what his master does. But I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known unto you. You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you.
You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you. When people believe that they chose us, they come in thinking that they're doing you a favor. Turn back around. You don't understand the process here. Go ahead.
And ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever you shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you. These things I command you, that you love one another. If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you.
Uh-huh.
If you were of the world would love his own.
Now, we have a problem here because we still want to be loved by the world. So now we're going to dance in between Yah's way and the world's way because we want to have the acceptance on both sides. See, we want to be not of the world, but still loved by the world. Go ahead.
But because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hates you.
Right. That's why the world drive by. Hey, man, what y'all got on? That don't look like what we wearing over here. So now we want to alter what we going to wear because we want to fit in with the world. But when destruction comes near, we're going to be the first ones trying to tell the angel, hey, look, I'm not like them. Wait a minute, but you spent most of your time trying to fit in with them. Now you want to try to convince me that you're not them? But you dressing like them. You walk like them. You talk like them. How you going to tell me you not them? Because now this angel is here for destruction. Now all of a sudden you want to tell the angel how different you are. Go ahead.
Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his master. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin. But now they have no cloak for their sin. He that hates me hates my Father also. If I had not done among them the works which none other man did, they had not had sin.
It said, well, when he said, he that hates me is going to hate my Father also. It's so funny. A lot of times when folks end up finding an issue with us, they say, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to go watch his teacher. I'm going to go watch Elder Yaakov. Hell, you're going to hate him too. Hell, he taught me. So the same thing that you dislike about me, you're going to dislike about him. I found out eventually that the same people that had a problem with him had a problem with me. I said, well, I'll be damned. It's funny how that worked. Go ahead, brother.
But now have they both seen and hated both me and my Father. But this comes to pass, that the word might be fulfilled that is written in their law. They hated me without a cause. But when the Comforter is come, whom I will send on to you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth, which proceeds from the Father, he shall testify of me. And you also shall bear witness, because you have been with me from the beginning.
All right, let's go to Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12, and let's start that at verse 1.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Elohim, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice.
If your body is presented as a living sacrifice, now we are doing the spiritual part of the offering that Yahshua offered physically. For us to partake in that, he has given us a different way to make sacrifice. Go ahead.
Holy, acceptable unto Elohim, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Elohim.
And be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's where the war at. The war goes on in the mind. The biggest war that we're going to fight, this war against the world, happens in our mind. Which thoughts are going to prevail? Go ahead.
For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as Elohim has dealt to every man the measure of faith.
But that's not what the world tells us. The world tells us that we are supposed to have an enormous amount of pride of all these things. The world don't tell you to be sober about your thought process concerning yourself. Go ahead.
For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we, being many, are one body in Yahshua, and every one members one of another.
Right. So then these various members have to learn how to work together for one common cause. That's what having a household is about. Different entities working together for a common cause. And if you can't do it in your house, you're not going to be able to do it in his house. Eventually, it's going to show. Go ahead.
Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith, or ministering, let us wait on our ministering, or he that teaches on teaching, or he that exhorteth on exhortation, he that gives, let him do it with simplicity. He that rules, with diligence. He that shows mercy, with cheerfulness. Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil. Cleave to that which is good.
All right, so then we have a decision to make. Abhor that which evil. Abhor is hate. See, people will try to tell you, God is love. Oh, so you telling me he don't hate nothing? If God is just love, you telling me he don't hate nothing? He instructed you to hate stuff. He said, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. You telling me that he is all love. See, something that sounds just as smooth as that is a straight lie. God is love. That is a lie. He is what he is. And you don't get to limit him and tell him what he is. God is love sounds nice. It is a lie. It is a lie that limits him. Oh, because he's love now he can't hate? So then, are you then conflicted when he tells you hate evil? Wait a minute, but if God is love, why would he tell me God is so much love, he don't tell you to hate nothing? Lie. This is how the world wars against you. It makes you think that your good qualities are bad and that your bad qualities are good. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love. And honor, preferring one another. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Adonai. Rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer.
Patient in tribulation. If you're in tribulation, that thing might not be resolved today. Are you patient enough to wait on Yahweh? Or does it need to be resolved, because on TV, every episode is finished, you know what I'm saying, in 42 minutes, if you count the commercials, in an hour show, at 42, 45, you know what I'm saying, is all it takes to resolve every issue. Go ahead.
Distributing to the necessity of saints, given to hospitality. Bless them which persecute you, bless and curse not.
Oh, it's hard for us to do that. Oh, it's hard for us to do that. Let us suffer anything. Oh, we want the world to pay. Oh, we go on a hellfire and brimstone world tour. We ain't got nothing but gas and matches. That's it. We ain't got no water because we don't want to put no fires out. Go ahead.
Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits. Recompense to no man evil for evil.
And that is the very first thing that crosses our mind. And here is where the world starts getting at you. Them thoughts start saying, yeah, you right. Yeah, you right. Yeah, hate that brother. Hate that sister. Yeah, go do this. This is where the negotiation is happening. Which one of them do you listen to? Because see, the old you ain't that far. The old you is right there telling the new you, first of all, I wouldn't do that. This new you is soft. See, the old us, it'd have been bringing the chalk out right now. What is this you doing? See, now you got to negotiate with the old you. Because see, there's parts of that old you, like Priest was saying, Yahweh still need. So you're going to have to negotiate with that old you so that you can learn how to tell it. No, not today. Not today. Now, look, we'll call you if we need you tomorrow. Because see, tomorrow Yahweh might say, all right, fire and brimstone, I need you to kill everything that breathes. Oh, Yahweh, I got you. Now, I got you. Look here, we've been waiting for this. No, I got you. But you got to negotiate and know the difference between you wanting that and he wanting that. This is where the world is going to try to trick you. So you got to be in a constant negotiation with that old man. Because although we want to be new creatures, that old creature is not far behind. He is in there. She is in there. But we have to learn how to negotiate to know when we're going to let that out. Go ahead, bro.
Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lies in you, live peaceably with all men.
And if it be possible, it may not be possible to have peace with everybody at all times. And in that case, what does the word say? After you've gone through, if it's your brother, after you've gone through everything, let them be like a heathen and a publican. Stay away from them. It's not possible for me to have peace with that individual. All right, done deal. That don't mean, that person's salvation is cut off. It don't mean my salvation. We just ain't going to deal with one another because our spirits don't agree. We have a tendency to believe that our spirit has to agree with everybody in the room or one of us need to leave the room. Do we do that at a job? I don't agree with sharing and accounting, so I'm just going to leave the job. The hell I am? So my family supposed to starve because I don't agree with sharing and accounting? Hell, I don't even have to see her that much. So why is it that we hold Yahweh to a different set of standards? This war that we're going to fight, as it says, it's not against flesh and blood, but against wickedness and spiritual principalities of high measure. The adversary of the devil is pulling strings. So that individual that you think you have a problem with is not the individual that you really have a problem with. That individual is just being used. And you're putting all your time and energy, you putting all your focus in being angry with that person. And the spirit gonna move 15 minutes later. And you gonna be looking like an idiot fighting at the wind. Because the spirit is no longer in that person. It just used that person to get you angry. That spirit is over there now, laughing at you as you put all your negative energy into somebody in the other side of the room. The spirit is making a fool of you. And you don't have a clue. It is not flesh and blood. Understand, this is a real war. And this war is in your mind, it's in your heart, it's in your body, it's in your spirit. You got to understand that. The adversary of the devil will put something in your head on Monday for a fight that he wants you to have on Thursday. But his whole objective is to make one of Yahweh's people fall. He really don't care about us one way or another. He really don't want us. He really don't need us. But he got to make you think that you real important in his scheme. He just want to be able to go right back to Yahweh. Hey, you see how I made what's your name fall, don't you? I thought you said that was your boy. He can't wait. But he really don't care for us like that. And he don't need us. He just want to be able to go back to Yahweh. And let it not be our name that's brought up in the conversation between Yahweh and the adversary. Let it not be our name. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.